Right now, while you're watching this video, 11 essential products are quietly vanishing from store shelves, and most people have no idea it's happening. Industry insiders are already stockpiling these items, and if you wait too long, you might not be able to find them at any price. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly which products are disappearing, why they're at risk, and most importantly, how to protect yourself and your family before it's too late. These aren't exotic items. They're everyday essentials you use right now, but the supply chain vulnerabilities behind them are something grocery stores don't want you to know about. Welcome to Food Decider, where we cut through the noise and give you the real information you need to make smart decisions about your food and household supplies. If you want to stay ahead of shortages and price spikes, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss our critical updates. For over a year now, something strange has been happening in supermarkets across the country. It's not the dramatic, empty shelf shortages we saw during the pandemic. This is different. This is more subtle and, frankly, more dangerous. Specific products, essential products, are disappearing for weeks at a time. Then they reappear briefly, and just when you think everything's back to normal, they vanish again. The pattern is unpredictable, and that's exactly what makes it so treacherous. Most people aren't panicking yet. The stores still look relatively full, but those with inside knowledge, they're quietly hoarding specific items, and they're doing it for good reason. We've moved from widespread shortages to what experts are calling selective vanishing. Instead of everything disappearing at once, the supply chain is experiencing targeted gaps. And here's the thing, when shortages are obvious, people react, they prepare, they stock up. But when the crisis is invisible, when the shelves look mostly fine, that's when people get caught off guard. Economic pressures are squeezing families harder than ever. Grocery prices are climbing faster than wages, and being able to stretch your resources isn't just smart anymore, it's necessary. Having access to essential items for hygiene, health, and morale is becoming critical. A well-stocked pantry and emergency supply used to be for preppers. Now, it's becoming necessary for everyone. But what's really driving these shortages? Why now? Why these specific products? The answer lies in three major factors that are converging all at once. First, we're dealing with manufacturing equipment that dates back to the 1970s, machines that were never meant to last this long, and for which there are no commercially available replacement parts. Companies are literally custom fabricating components just to keep production lines running. When these machines break down completely, production stops. Period. Second, climate disruptions are hammering global crop production. We're not talking about minor fluctuations. We're seeing 20 to 30% drops in harvests for critical crops. And because many of these crops take years to mature, even if conditions improve tomorrow, we're looking at multi-year recovery timelines. Third, production for many essential items is concentrated in just a few regions or even single facilities. When something goes wrong, a drought, a regulatory change, a factory closure, there's no backup. There's no plan B. The supply chain is far more fragile than most people realize. And here's what grocery stores won't tell you. Industry insiders know all of this. They're watching the production numbers, they're seeing the equipment failures, they're reading the climate reports, and they're quietly building their own reserves while these products are still available. The stores look normal because the crisis is happening in slow motion, but make no mistake, it's happening. Real-world price spikes are already occurring. Last year, canning lids quadrupled in price during peak season, and online supplies completely dried up. That wasn't an anomaly, that was a warning sign, and it's about to happen again, but this time with more products and for longer periods. So let's get to what you actually need to know. Let's talk about the 11 products that are at the highest risk, and more importantly, what you need to do about it right now. Let's start with the items that help you preserve food, because these are the foundation of any serious emergency pantry. First up, canning lids. Yes, those simple metal lids you see at the grocery store. Both regular and wide-mouth canning lids are disappearing fast, and the reason is almost unbelievable. These lids are manufactured on equipment from the 1970s, machines that are literally half a century old. And here's the kicker, there are no commercially available replacement parts for these.
When something breaks, manufacturers have to custom fabricate the components just to keep production running. It's expensive, it's time-consuming, and it's unsustainable. Now, you might be thinking, I don't even can food, why should I care? Here's why. Even if you never preserve a single tomato in your life, canning lids are essential for resealing mason jars for dry goods. They're reusable dozens of times, they're lightweight, and they take up almost no space. In any barter scenario, their value skyrockets. During last year's peak season, we saw prices quadruple and online supplies vanish completely. The availability right now is so uncertain that future access simply isn't guaranteed. So what should you do? Grab boxes whenever you see them, ideally in bulk. Store at least 200 lids for personal use and trade. That might sound like a lot, but when you can't find them anywhere, you'll be glad you did. Next, let's talk about white vinegar. Cheap, distilled white vinegar is quietly becoming a linchpin for preparedness, and most people have no idea. Most white vinegar is made from corn, and corn is facing increasing competition from ethanol production. Add in crop failures from extreme weather, and you've got a perfect storm for shortages. But white vinegar isn't just for salad dressing. This stuff is a survival miracle. You can use it for preserving vegetables through quick pickling, vegetables that will last for months without refrigeration. You can use it for disinfection and surface cleaning. It works as a laundry booster for odor removal. And here's the big one. During boil water advisories, vinegar kills bacteria and parasites. It's a water purification tool that costs pennies. The best part? White vinegar lasts forever. Store it in the original containers in a cool, dark space, and it will outlast you. Stockpile at least 10 to 20 gallons for home use and barter. At current prices, that's a tiny investment with enormous returns. And while we're talking about preservation, we can't skip salt. Plain iodized table salt and canning salt are foundational for survival, yet they're consistently overlooked. There's a reason Roman soldiers were paid in salt because it was essential to health and survival. Salt serves three critical functions. First, it's a necessary electrolyte. Without it, your body shuts down. Fatal deficiencies can happen faster than you think. Second, it's the original preservation method. Meat curing, vegetable fermentation, these techniques have kept humans alive for thousands of years. Third, in barter economies, salt retains exceptional value. It's always in demand, it never expires, and it's easy to trade. So how much do you need? Estimate at least 100 pounds per adult per year for long-term emergencies. Store it in airtight containers to prevent moisture absorption, and you're set for life. Salt lasts forever. Now, let's move to the cooking and baking fundamentals that keep your household running. Black pepper. It sounds almost too mundane to matter, right? Wrong. Black pepper is at serious risk due to unprecedented drought in Vietnam, which is the world's largest pepper producer. Harvests have dropped by 22%, and projections are getting worse. Here's the critical part. Pepper plants take 3 to 4 years from planting to maturity. Even if conditions improve immediately, we're looking at years before supply recovers. But black pepper isn't just for flavor. It's a natural preservative that enables food to last longer without refrigeration. In practical tests, jerky prepared with pepper stayed mold-free for months, while batches without pepper spoiled in just weeks. That's the difference between having food and losing food in a crisis. Buy whole peppercorns in bulk, not ground pepper, which loses potency rapidly. Store them in airtight containers and they'll last for decades. Equip yourself with a simple manual grinder and you're good to go. Next, yeast. We all remember what happened during the pandemic. Yeast completely vanished from shelves during the baking surge. But in a genuine food crisis, the absence of yeast means no bread. And that's not just about calories. Bread is a morale booster. It's comfort food. It amplifies your calorie intake and helps you stretch limited food supplies. Yeast also has another survival use that people forget, making alcohol. Alcohol serves as a disinfectant and a valuable barter item. In crisis situations, both are worth their weight in gold. For long-term storage, keep dry yeast in vacuum-sealed bags in the freezer. It'll last up to 10 years this way. Learn to maintain a sourdough starter as well. Capturing wild yeast means you can potentially have an unlimited supply. Buy bulk yeast and rotate your stock regularly. When yeast disappears again, and it will, you'll be covered. Cooking oil is another fragile item that most people take for granted.
Cheap vegetable oils are susceptible to rapid shortages and price spikes because of agricultural volatility and limited shelf life. But cooking oil is a dense calorie source, 120 calories per tablespoon. In a survival situation, calories are survival. Oil also makes food preparation possible and enriches meals for better morale and fullness. Store unopened bottles in cool, dark places, and they'll last up to 2 years. You can extend shelf life by adding vitamin E capsules to opened bottles. Buy oil in smaller bottles to limit air exposure after opening, and rotate your stock religiously. Use the oldest bottles first and keep replacing them. Now let's talk about the multi-purpose survival tools that do far more than their labels suggest. Baking soda. This humble powder is sourced from aging mineral mines in Wyoming, and production has been flat even as demand rises. In Argentina's 2001 economic collapse, baking soda became one of the most actively traded commodities. Why? Because it does everything. Medical uses, heartburn relief, bee sting treatment, makeshift toothpaste, sanitation, deodorizes refrigerators and closets, extinguishes grease fires. Baking acts as a leavening agent when combined with vinegar, especially critical when yeast is unavailable. Plumbing cleans drains in emergencies. The applications are nearly endless. Buy baking soda in bulk and store it in airtight containers. Keep at least 50 pounds for extended use. It lasts indefinitely, and the investment is minimal compared to the utility. Bleach is next, and this one is critical. Plain chlorine bleach is irreplaceable for purifying water and maintaining hygiene. We've seen this in real disasters, the Haiti cholera outbreak, hurricane aftermath situations. Bleach saves lives. 8 drops per gallon can make contaminated water potable. It disinfects surfaces and prevents disease transmission. It sanitizes laundry when hygiene matters most. But here's the important caveat. Bleach degrades after 6 to 12 months. You must rotate your stock every 6 months. Store it in cool, dark places and use old stock for cleaning tasks before it loses potency. And never, ever mix bleach with ammonia or vinegar. You'll create dangerous fumes that can be lethal. Matches are another item most people underestimate. Match production relies on a handful of aging facilities using chemicals that are increasingly regulated. Unlike lighters, matches offer simplicity, independence of fluid refills, and greater long-term reliability. There are no mechanical parts to fail, no fuel to run out. Just strike and you have fire. Waterproof matches and strike-anywhere matches both have their place. Waterproof matches perform in any conditions, rain, snow, humidity, doesn't matter. Strike-anywhere matches offer versatility for use on any rough surface. Stock both types in bulk, store them in dry containers, and remember, matches also serve as valuable barter goods during extended power outages. Batteries, specifically AA and AAA, are the lifeline of modern devices. Flashlights, radios, medical devices, communication tools, all of them depend on batteries. Production is concentrated overseas, and we're seeing prices and availability worsen due to raw material shortages. For emergency stockpiles, stick with alkaline batteries. They last up to 10 years in storage. Rechargeable batteries lose charge over time and aren't reliable for long-term emergency prep. Buy a pack on every store trip and build your stock gradually. Test your batteries annually for leaks or corrosion and store them in cool, dry places. Avoid garages and attics where temperature swings can damage them. Batteries also serve as effective trade currency during crises. Everyone needs them, and when they're gone from stores, people will trade almost anything to get them. Finally, instant coffee. This might surprise you, but instant coffee is a critical survival item that lasts decades when properly stored. Yes, it doesn't win taste tests, but that's not the point. Beyond caffeine, instant coffee acts as a mental health tool and a trade commodity with proven value. Coffee provides energy and a morale boost during high-stress situations. It requires no equipment, just hot or cold water. And here's the real kicker. During the Bosnian War, coffee was worth more than cigarettes in the barter economy. That's how valuable it becomes when everything falls apart.
Store sealed jars in cool, dry areas, and the shelf life is essentially indefinite. Use it for personal consumption or as barter. Either way, you'll be glad you have it. So, you know what to stock, but how do you actually build an emergency pantry without breaking the bank? Let's talk practical steps. First, understand that many of these items are inexpensive individually. A box of canning lids, a bottle of vinegar, a container of salt, none of these will wreck your budget. The key is consistency.
Every grocery trip is an opportunity to add to your reserves. Buy one extra item each time. Over weeks and months, you'll build a substantial stockpile without even noticing the financial impact. Start small but be consistent. Don't try to buy everything at once. That's overwhelming and expensive. Instead, pick 2 or 3 items from this list each week. Rotate through the categories. One week, focus on preservation items. The next week, cooking fundamentals. The week after that, multi-purpose tools. Before you know it, you'll have covered everything multiple times. Look for deals at warehouse stores and restaurant supply outlets. These places sell in bulk at significantly lower per unit costs. A 25-pound bag of salt from a restaurant supply store costs less than buying individual containers at the grocery store. The same goes for vinegar, baking soda, and cooking oil. If you have access to these stores, use them. Now let's talk about storage and rotation, because buying these items is only half the battle. Improper storage can ruin your entire stockpile. For moisture-sensitive items like baking soda, salt, whole peppercorns, and yeast, use airtight containers. Mason jars work great for smaller quantities. For larger amounts, food-grade buckets with Gamma Seal lids are your best friend. Keep these items in the coolest, driest part of your home. Basements work well if they're not damp. Closets on interior walls stay cooler than exterior walls. For shelf-sensitive products like cooking oil, bleach, and batteries, cool and dark is the rule. Heat and light accelerate degradation. A pantry away from the stove is ideal. Under-stair storage works well. Even a dedicated cabinet in a bedroom closet is better than a hot garage. For perishables that require rotation, bleach, cooking oil, and yeast, set up a fixed schedule. Mark your calendar. Every 6 months, rotate your bleach. Use the old stock for cleaning and replace it with fresh bottles. Every year, rotate your cooking oil. Use it in your regular cooking and buy new bottles for storage. Every 2 years, check your yeast. If you're not using it regularly, test a small amount to make sure it's still active. Label everything with purchase dates. Masking tape and a marker work fine. This simple step makes rotation effortless. You always know what's oldest and what needs to be used first. But here's something most preparedness guides don't talk about: barter and trade value. In any crisis where traditional currency falters, these items become critical trade goods. And understanding which items have the highest trade value can make the difference between thriving and barely surviving. Salt, matches, bleach, and instant coffee consistently rank at the top of barter hierarchies. Why? Because they have long shelf lives, wide utility, and high perceived value among your neighbors. A box of matches trades for a lot when no one can start a fire. A gallon of bleach buys goodwill and creates community ties when disease is a threat. The smart approach is to stock more than you need for personal use. If you calculate you need 100 pounds of salt for your family, buy 150 pounds. That extra 50 pounds becomes a community resource and a safety net. You can help neighbors, which strengthens social bonds and increases your own security. And if things get truly desperate, you have trade goods that retain value when cash doesn't. Choose items with the longest shelf lives and broadest applications. Instant coffee fits this perfectly. Decades of storage life, universal appeal, proven crisis value. Batteries do the same. Everyone needs them. Few people stock enough, and they're easy to trade in small quantities. Build your stockpile with both personal use and community resilience in mind. The strongest households in a crisis are those that can help others while maintaining their own security. Real-world examples prove this isn't theoretical. During Argentina's 2001 economic collapse, people traded baking soda more actively than gold. Why? Because gold doesn't clean your teeth, settle your stomach, or put out fires. Baking soda does all three. Survival isn't about wealth, it's about utility. After Hurricane Katrina, bleach became a life-saving commodity. Clean water disappeared and disease spread rapidly. Those with bleach could purify water and sanitize surfaces. Those without it got sick. The difference was literally life and death. During the Bosnian War, instant coffee changed entire social dynamics at disaster relief stations. Volunteers who could offer hot coffee became morale centers. Coffee breaks became moments of normalcy in absolute chaos.
That psychological value cannot be overstated. And in countless stories from winter storms and power outages, matches made the difference between warmth and misery. Lighters fail, mechanical fire starters jam, but a waterproof match and a sealed container, it works every single time. These lessons aren't abstract.
They're what happens when supply chains break down, when money loses value, when the comfortable structures of modern life disappear. And they're why industry insiders aren't waiting for headlines to tell them what to do. Right now, while most people assume everything is fine, those with knowledge are quietly building reserves. They're not panicking, they're not hoarding irrationally. They're calmly, methodically stockpiling these 11 items because they understand what's coming. Manufacturing equipment is aging with no replacement infrastructure. Climate trends are worsening, not improving. Regulatory pressures on key chemicals and production processes are increasing. All of these factors point in one direction, accelerating shortages and rising prices. You can wait for the headlines. You can wait for your neighbors to start panicking. You can wait for the shelves to empty before you take action. But by then, you'll already be behind. The time to prepare is before the crisis is obvious. Making preparedness a habit is about more than just surviving. It's about maintaining health when medical care is scarce. It's about preserving morale when stress is overwhelming. It's about keeping community ties strong when everyone is struggling. By keeping a well-organized supply of these critical items, you mitigate both daily headaches and crisis-level dangers. You'll be able to preserve food when refrigeration fails. You'll have clean water when the supply is contaminated. You'll maintain hygiene when disease is spreading. You'll have energy for devices when the power grid is down. And you'll hold valuable assets for barter when traditional money isn't enough. Most importantly, you'll never be caught off guard. When the real shortages hit, and they will hit, you'll be the calm one. You'll be the prepared one. You'll be the person your neighbors come to for advice, for help, for hope. Let's recap the 11 essential products you need to stockpile now. Canning lids, black pepper, white vinegar, baking soda, salt, yeast, cooking oil, matches, bleach, batteries, and instant coffee. Each one serves multiple survival functions. Each one is vulnerable to supply chain disruptions, and each one is available right now at reasonable prices. Industry insiders are already stockpiling. They're watching the production numbers, reading the reports, and building their reserves while availability is good and prices are stable. The smart move is to follow their lead. Don't wait until these items are gone. Don't wait until prices double or triple. Don't wait until you're competing with panicked crowds for the last box of canning lids or the final container of salt. Start building your reserves this week. Start today if possible. Preparedness is not paranoia. It's practical foresight in an era of unpredictable supply chains and mounting economic pressure. The 11 items we've covered form the backbone of an emergency pantry, transforming ordinary households from vulnerable to resilient. By understanding their importance, sourcing them now, and rotating your stock diligently, you protect not just your family, but position yourself as a resource for your wider community. In times of uncertainty, these quiet essentials could mean the difference between thriving, surviving, or struggling. The choice is yours, and the time to make it is now. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening, hit that like button and subscribe to Food Decider. We're here to give you the real information you need to stay ahead of shortages, price spikes, and supply chain disruptions. Don't get caught off guard. Stay informed, stay prepared, and stay ahead of the curve.